Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 26. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in lovely Los Angeles, California. In a little while, I'll be joined by our panel host, Clarence O. Nixon from Washington, D.C., or you can call him CO like I do. Right now, we do have on the line with us, our panel guest is Jarrell T. Brackett from Pittsburgh. He'll be here joining us and listening to our interviews and asking questions. Live callers, you can call us at 347-324-5998 or Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or my Twitter is at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL. We are on Facebook at Real Combat Media. Just put that in the search bar. Our topics today will be Cavallo versus Cleverly and Gil versus Barker recap, Mares versus Gonzalez and Santa Cruz versus Terrazas preview. That's coming up. Also, Showtime Episode 1 All Access V1 debuts for Episode 1 of 4 on August 24th. And Triple G, Gennady Golovkin is fighting Curtis Stevens in November at Madison Square Garden, November 22nd. That will be an exciting lineup. All right, later in the show, we will talk to former undisputed heavyweight champion Riddick Big Daddy Bowe and former WBC light middleweight champion Mia the Knockout St. John. But first, we have, just off her win with Frida Wahlberg, new WBC super featherweight champion Diana Prazak and her fabulous trainer and former IBO light welterweight champion Lucia, the Dutch Destroyer Rijker. Hey, welcome to the show, you two.
Hi. Hi, how you
going? Good. It was nice to meet you finally the other day. Excuse me, my voice here at the fight, Diana.
Yeah, it was good to meet you, mate.
That was a good fight. Ronda Luna and Crystal Morales, 10 rounds nonstop, wasn't it?
No, they definitely didn't stop from the bell at the first round right through to round 10. They just kept punching. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, this is Roy Engelbrecht's card over at the Hangar, and they were nonstop, toe-to-toe in front of each other. And Crystal Morales came out and became the world champion, but, nothing to say about Ronda Luna besides a great fight. So we have Lucia. You're there too, aren't you?
I'm sorry?
Hey. Hi, Lucia. Just want to make sure you're here.
Hey. Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
I'm listening.
Lucia is busy. All right. I'm so glad you guys came on the show. You just got this fabulous win over a fantastic fighter, Frida Wahlberg. I watched the fight, and for me, it was a great fight up until, I'd say, the 6th round. I thought it was really competitive. How did you feel going up until the 6th round, Diana?
I felt pretty good. It took me a while to find my rhythm in the fight, but once I did, I felt pretty good and I felt pretty confident, especially after the 7th round. I kind of felt that the fight had gone my way, and it was only a matter of time before we were going to win it. So, it was a pretty competitive fight up until then, and I'm happy to walk away with the win.
It was a fantastic win. I mean, I had a whole bunch of emotions watching it, though. I mean, I've known Frida Wahlberg, not know her personally, but her fighting forever, since, I guess, the late 90s. And, you went in there fighting a competitor. You both were warriors. She looked great. You looked great. I saw that you looked a little frustrated at, what was it, going into the sixth round. And I remember Lucia said something like, just move your head, you know, use your movements. How did you feel up to that point? Besides getting your rhythm, of course.
Yeah, that was really our biggest struggle, was me finding my rhythm. I started the fight really slow, and it wasn't really frustration. It was just about finding my rhythm in the fight. And yeah, Lucia definitely wanted me to move my head. That goes without saying.
Of course. But, you know, it was nice because, Lucia, you're so calm in the corner and you're just matter of fact. And how did you feel at that point, Lucia, watching Diana up to let's say, going into the sixth round?
Well, I wasn't very matter of fact in this fight because I tried to wake up Diana the first couple of rounds. So I was a little more intense than I normally am in the corner. But I just want to point out that I just want to give Diane some pointers because on paper, Diane is technically an inexperienced fighter compared to all the girls she fought, including Frida. So she has a tremendous heart and a vision for herself that is exceptional for a female athlete. That's one. In that particular fight as well, I think Frida has about 3 times the experience that she has. The same thing with Holly Holmes. I think Holly Holmes has probably 4 times the amount of fights and experience, also on a PR level, on an exposure level, on a ring experience level, on a media level. So I really want to applaud Diane for being such an amazing warrior. Like I call her the female Rocky, because she just takes on anybody, anywhere, at any time. So that being said, because due to that, she was a little, you know, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of media, a lot of waiting before we finally entered the ring, and then the national anthem on top of that. Besides, we had a lot of mistreatment on our way up to the fight. And when I say mistreatment, I say mistreatment. I've been in this business for a really long time, and the way the promoter had treated us up until the fight was just absolutely inexcusable. You know, let me say, he tried to fly us on 2 different flights, so to speak. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. Most of the time, they fly in a fighter 2 days before a fight. You come in jet lag, exhausted, dehydrated, and you gain weight on a flight, so you're going to have to make weight, and you step through the rope exhausted. What I tried to do is I tried to give Diane a fair chance, because we came in as the underdog, went into the hometown girl favorite, and on paper, an amazing fighter. So I set up training camp in the Netherlands, and that the promoter, who turned out to be her boyfriend, gave us the hardest time to do so, because I was protecting my fighter, and it just hurts my heart to see how fighters are still treated today in this business, in this dangerous business, because it shows as well in the preparation. I made sure Diane was on track with her diet and with her weight. So we gradually brought her weight down to almost 57 kilos, because we were not sure what she was going to weigh on that particular scale, because every scale she stepped on was a different weight. So that being said, we overcame all these obstacles. Yes.
Lucia, just a second. That's what I was thinking when I was looking at her fighting, was she looked small to me. Diana, you look small. Did you actually weigh in really light?
I did weigh in lighter. I weighed in at 127 pounds for 130 fight. But I think it was more that I'm naturally shorter than Frida, but Frida had blown up so much on the day of the fight, which is why I looked so much smaller. I wasn't able to blow up, and I didn't blow up as much as she did, which is probably why I looked so much smaller than she did.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, Lucia, but I just wanted to get that in there because I saw that when I was watching the fight, too.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that part of what happened in the fight had to do with wrong guidance when it comes down to losing weight. There were people in her team that bragged about how much weight they can gain after a weigh-in. So I want to really point out that the 3 times that I saw an aneurysm in boxing was with people that dehydrated their body and irresponsibly lost weight in a short period of time before the weigh-in. The problem is that the brain does not hydrate within 24 hours. The body might, but the brain doesn't. So for all the people that are listening and all the fighters that mess with their diet, learn from this. Boxing is a dangerous sport if you do it the wrong way, if you cheat. And cheating means that you try to dry yourself out. It works 9 times, and the 10th time it goes wrong. And it happens to several fighters. When they get an aneurysm, it's due to dehydration. It's not necessarily the punching. Of course, the punching is important, and knockouts will happen, but a knockout with an effect like Diane's knockout, because Diane hit her several times to the left hook, and eventually she went down, and then the effect of that, the damage that could cause long-term damage, is due to unprofessionalism. So I just want to point that out. During the fight, the 6th round, I knew once Diane was going to turn around that fight. I knew we were not going to win on points. We prepared not to win on points. We prepared specifically to break her down, to slow her down, to interrupt the combination. So eventually she would go either on a body shot or on a left hook. So we were on track. We worked our butt off. We were the only 2 people in Sweden that had faith in a victory on knockout. We won, and people were in disbelief. The audience was in disbelief, not just because Frida got hurt, but because Frida got knocked out. So it was a major victory. It was a phenomenal victory for Diane and I, unfortunately with a consequence in the corner of freedom for her, but obviously something for everyone to learn from.
Yeah, so, okay, we're going to go from there then. So after you had obviously a terrible time with the promoter that happened to be her boyfriend, how could he stop you from having a training camp in the Netherlands?
Well, there's all kinds of things. Like I said, the mandatory is they fly you in 2 days before the fight, maybe 3, but it's a big flight. And when you have a layover and you fly 23 hours into another time zone, I know, I grew up in the Netherlands. I know jet lag very well. Within 3 days, you feel like you walk on clouds. Those things are important during a fight, you know. Even though you can overcome things mentally, you can overcome a lot of things, on a competitive level, they matter. So, you know, I'll save you all the details of the obstacles and the constant changing and then pulling the fight, canceling the fight. It was a roller coaster of stress that Diane and I went through, but we came out victorious. So it was not just a win. It was a tremendous victory on all levels.
It was. I mean, it was despite what happened, I think it was an excellent fight to watch. I mean, it pained me, of course, in the 8th round. I mean, when you were hitting her with those, God, thank God most of your shots went to her body at first. You know, I know there was that right hook to the head and then the other hooks, left hooks. But she took a lot, and you could tell that Frida was exhausted from the body shots. At that point in that 8th round, Diana, did you know that, okay, it's coming close, this is almost it, this is the knockout, which you said on our last show that you both said you would have to have a knockout, you were going to have a knockout, and your prediction came correct. So, Diana, did you feel like, okay, it's happening, it's almost here, she's almost ready to go down?
I can't say that I did, to be honest. In the 7th round, I landed an overhand right, and it wobbled her legs. So I knew, once I saw her legs wobble, I knew that that was my chance, that the tide had definitely turned. And the game plan that Lucia and I went in the ring with was to throw consistent body shots and to never stop working the body. So as the fight progressed, I felt the power of her punches, disappearing, and she was starting to move away from me. So I knew that they were working. So it wasn't ever about that I knew the knockout was coming. It was just about, Lucia told me every round's the first round. Go in there, it's round 1 again. And that's pretty much the attitude that I went in the round with at the beginning of every round. It was round 1, start the body shots again, and always finish on the left hook and always interrupt the punches. And I just think that's where the knockout came from.
Yeah, it was a fantastic knockout. Hard to watch, and yet it was fantastic. And then, what I didn't understand is Frida goes to her corner, and she's moaning in the doctor's arms. She's moaning, and you can hear the moan nonstop. I could see you guys celebrating, and I thought that was awesome because you well-deserved. Nobody knows what's happening with Frida. Then you both go over. Lucia is taking care of her. Where did the doctor go, Lucia?
Well, first of all, being a ring doctor is not easy. However, in this case, I just think that people were in such disbelief that their favorite girl, their hometown girl, their princess lost the fight. So the audience, the referee, and the doctor were not really registering the moment. They were all in disbelief. So when the doctor walked up, and you see the footage, he puts his hands on her shoulder and behind her head, patting it like, I'm sorry, honey, you lost, right? I don't know exactly what he said, but it looks like he says, I'm sorry for your loss, right? And he turns around and he leaves, and she collapses, basically. Instead of going in and checking her eyes, he didn't do that. So, and by the time we were trying to sit her on a chair and lay her down, and I'm screaming for a doctor and eyes, nothing happened. People were in disbelief. So that was kind of a frightening moment, more than anything, that people were not present with what was actually happening. Including, I'm sure it's a really tough job, and all respect to all referees in the whole world. The moment he lifts her up, why didn't the referee let her just lay down or get up on her own, It was, again, there's this man trying to save this poor girl from the campus. She's a fighter. Treat her like a fighter. When a fighter is hurt, count them out, take out the mouthpiece, call the doctor, right? That is what we do. So somehow, in this particular situation, things happen differently. I've never heard of some other corner taking care of a fighter. That is unheard of. So everything that happened that night was so strange. It was exceptionally strange. And, yeah.
You could hear a pin drop. Seriously, you could see you two celebrating. You could hear a pin drop. Nobody in the audience was talking. And you're right. They were in disbelief that their girl, who had been fighting since the 90s, was out. And then, but all I could hear was her moaning. And they should have registered. And I know it is hard to be a physician at ringside, but come on. I mean, that doctor, like you said, he was patting her. She was moaning in his arms. She was not right. And besides, Christy, when you look at the moment he counts, right, and he gives the fight free again, she doesn't have her hands up. She just stands there, right? And he clears the fight. Watch it carefully. And he clears the fight. And the moment Diane charges her, she pulls up her hands to protect herself, and Diane just blasts through it, right? Those are like little things. It's like, don't you wipe the hands and then check if she's actually present or not? You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just certain things that are important. And, of course, like I said, we're all human beings and everyone makes mistakes. But somehow that particular night, a lot happened in one fight. Yeah, a lot happened. And it kind of broke my heart because I was watching an interview, Diana, of you right after the fight. And you could tell that, God, you had this amazing win that you two worked so hard for. And you almost looked like you wanted to cry because, here you won, and here you have this other girl that was going to, obviously not well. So, I commend you for being so gracious that you didn't give yourself, unfortunately, until, Lucia stepped in. It didn't seem like you were giving yourself enough credit because you were so upset about about Frida.
Well, that was the reality of the situation. The 15 seconds that Lucia and I celebrated in the ring, that's been the only celebration we've had, since the fight. That 15 seconds, once we realized that Frida was in the condition that she was, our attention was on her. And after the fight, I didn't feel like celebrating when I knew somebody else was in trouble. And I'm not that sort of person anyway, and we were concerned for her and for her well-being.
Yeah, and that's commendable. And, thank God Frida is doing fine now, so you two can go out and celebrate. It's never too late. I know you went back to Australia. Didn't you do any celebrating, Diana?
Yeah, it was my birthday when I was home, so I got to celebrate my birthday in the championship with my family, which was fantastic to see them all. And so that was fantastic, and now we're back in LA and back to the drawing board.
Well, happy birthday! I'm glad you got to have two celebrations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I want to give our panel host and guest a chance to ask you questions. Hey, Clarence Theo, you on the line?
Yeah, hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, well, we have Diana Prazak and Lucia Rijker, so go ahead and ask your questions.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you there.
Man. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, yeah, I want to congratulate you on your victory. First and foremost, and I was also wondering, do you think that's going to affect your I hate to say killer instinct when referring to boxing, but do you think the after effect of the knockout is going to affect how aggressive you are towards any future opponents?
No, I mean, in my next fight, I think I'll be as aggressive as I usually am. I'm well aware that it's the sport that I've chosen to compete in, and I'm the whole situation has made me very aware of the consequences of our sport and the risks that we take, and like Lucia said earlier, making sure I make weight properly and don't put my body under any undue trauma and stress.
Theo, you have any other questions? Hi.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much what I was wondering after watching. I went online and watched the the fight or whatnot, because I'm in America, so they don't really show it like that. But that was the main question I had, pertaining to that, because after knockouts like that, where the person has to get rushed to the hospital, some people, they aren't the same. I believe Emil Griffiths wasn't the same after one of his fights. He even mentioned it before. So I was just wondering how that may affect you, if it does at all.
Well, I suppose only time will tell.
Nah, but you know what, Diana has goals. I don't think that's going to do anything. I think she's going to come back even stronger next time.
Hold on.
It was, she's got beautiful hooks. Let me ask, all right, Jarrell, you there? You have a question for Diana or Lucia?
I do. I have a question for Diana first. Now you carry I believe the WBC female super featherweight title. Why is that all of this time of becoming a world champion title holder, why would you spend time listening and reading to the internet things that are written about you? I mean, you have 8 knockouts and 12 wins. Why do you need to pay attention to what anybody but Lucia and the people around you say?
It's a very good point that you bring up. I mean, I'm not so sure why I do it, but I do like to keep myself very informed on what's happening, and sometimes I stumble across the negative press as well as the good press. But I mean, I don't know. We all have our little weaknesses and our faults, and one of mine definitely is knowing what people their opinions are of me when I walk into the ring. Yeah.
I believe you fight like the heroine of a great, great story, and it's very apparent when I watch the fights between you and Frida Wahlberg that you not only had a plan, but you stuck to it. Is it really hard for you to stick to a game plan that is being given to you to win a fight?
No, not really. I have a great trainer. Lucia is a great trainer, and we knew what our game plan was going into the fight, and we had and trained on that game plan for the whole 7 weeks leading up to the fight. So once it was time to step into the ring, it was only about doing that. Those landing consistent body shots had become second nature to me, because it's all we had practiced, and practicing finishing on the left hook and practicing interrupting punches. I mean, I'm always been a fighter that's always going forward, so I don't have to practice that. That's something that comes naturally to me. And the game plan, when Lucia comes up with a game plan, it's something that it's not foreign from my style or anything like that. So it's going to fit perfectly in with how I already fight.
Well, you are fantastic. I mean, I commend you both. Have you been in touch with Frida at all since your fight?
With her directly, no. She doesn't speak any English as well, but we have had a lot of Swedish press ask for interviews, and her manager and Robert, the promoter and boyfriend, has contacted us a couple of times. So we know that she's doing well now, and expected to make a full recovery, and I'm happy to hear that.
Well, let me add to that. Like from the beginning, we were in close contact with her boyfriend through text while we were in Sweden. We visited the hospital. They didn't let us in. It was a closed apartment, so to speak, for family only. Even up here in the Netherlands, because I was in the Netherlands for a while, I've been corresponding with her boyfriend almost every other day. I was very concerned about the well-being of Frida, and I wanted to monitor that really closely and to make sure that she would fully recover. I was in the process of putting together a fundraiser, but somehow I couldn't coordinate it well enough with her because of her English and because I couldn't directly reach her to participate in it, because I wanted her to send a video and be part of it, but somehow it was too vulnerable for her to do that, to be part of that and to expose herself, because she was still digesting the big change. Because, first of all, when you get knocked out, that's major. Second, when you lose your title, that's major. Third, when you are never allowed to box again, so basically you end your career, that's major. So she basically had to mourn 3 major losses. She didn't just lose a fight. She got knocked out, lost her belt, and lost her career. Plus, she had an aneurysm. So there was a lot on her plate. So it was really hard for her to think about boxing or anything to do with boxing, even though we tried to really connect with her and support her through our prayer as much as we could. We contacted people all over the world to pray for the recovery of Frida. We were a little disappointed when she announced that the aneurysm was caused by a headbutt, I have to say. I totally understand where that comes from. I'm assuming because they want to ban professional boxing in Sweden, that to take away the power of punches in boxing and the danger of it. I totally get that. However, it was not in respect to Diane and Diane's punching power.
It was definitely her punching power. I didn't see any headbutts, but like you said, Sweden has always had issues with boxing, so hopefully they don't ban it. What's next for you two? Do you know where you're going next?
Well, we're talking to different people. Women's boxing is in a funny place, and Diane is in a very powerful place. So we're basically looking for a promoter to put Diane on, and there's a couple of people that we would like to fight, including what's her name, Tina, and there's another girl, Claudia Andrea Lopez, and Jelena, that we're definitely looking for. We just need a promoter to put it together. So we're doing our best to get her lined up for our next fight. But we'll see what's next. Well, hopefully the end of October, maybe November. Possibly a fight in Australia. So we'll see what we can make happen.
So Lucia, does Jelena Mladenovic, does she want a fight with Diana? Has she actually said yes?
Well, the thing is that I heard she called out Diane and said that Diane didn't want to fight her. So let's clarify that Diane fights anybody, anywhere, at any time. I'm going to repeat that again. Diana Prazak fights anybody, anytime, anywhere in the super featherweight champion and even in the featherweight division. So that's clear. If
that is
Jelena's
very clear.
If Jelena's people want to put it together, most of the time it's not necessarily about do the fighters want it, because I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Jelena, so I don't want to say things that are not true. Promoters need to put it together, and I think it'll be the fight of the year if that happens. Jelena is a dangerous fighter, and so is Diane. I think it would be. I look forward to seeing that fight. As well as I'd like to see Kina. That would be a good fight for Diane as well. And again, we take anyone. Claudia, Andrea. I mean, Jelena is something that really, it's a challenge. She's a great fighter with a phenomenal left hook. So Diana only wants to fight the best of the best. And she has proven that she only fights the best of the best. So there's only a handful of great fighters out there in the women's boxing division, I think, and Diane will fight any of them, anywhere, at any time.
Well, you heard it here. Anytime, anyone. We need a promoter, a real good promoter, because this is a world champion. And there's anything else, Diane, that you'd like? Go ahead, Lucia.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I also want to say we shot a film about the preparation up until the disaster and even after. It's a behind the scenes that is a really emotional, touching movie where you get to know Diane's character and who's her and what a funny and sensitive human being she is. And we're working on getting it released at the ITFA once it's finished, so people can see actually who Diane is behind the scenes. And she's a phenomenal human being, and it's important for people to see, how hard she works, where she comes from, and how she's transformed her life. And again, who out there only fights the best, and who out there with her experience has accomplished what she has accomplished in women's boxing. So I give all that to her.
Well, you know what? Diana speaks equally as highly about you, Lucia. At the fights, we were talking to Mia St. John, who's coming on later today. And, wow, Diana has your back. You should have heard the conversation. It was very interesting.
Oh, sweet.
So I just want to say that you have each other's backs, right, Diana?
Yeah, completely.
Well, we're a good team. We're a really good team. We're compatible. We complement each other. Like I said, when we went to Sweden, we went into a war together. We had each other's backs. We went through all the obstacles, and we finished on top. So we're a dangerous combination, that I'll say.
Yep, very dangerous. And they're looking for a promoter. Anything else you would like to say before we have to say goodbye? Either one of you?
Good.
How about you?
Thank you for everyone's support, really.
Yeah, thank you for putting us on and giving us an opportunity to share. I want to thank anybody who is involved in women's boxing and cherishes on these women. And I just hope that we can bring women's boxing even to another level, despite the fact that there's only 3 weight classes in the Brazilian Olympics. I still think that, women out there, keep the faith. If you're not in that weight class, there's room for you in this world with your gifts and talents, and please don't ever feel defeated.
No, and there's still time. 2016 Olympics is, we have time. There is a petition. Thank you, Lucia, for mentioning it. Sue Fox, WBAN.org, has a petition. If you'd like to go and sign it, hopefully Dr. Wu from AIBA will go to the IOC, and talk to them, and maybe something will work out. It's not a lost cause. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you both. When you have your documentary set, I hope you come back. We'd love to hear more about it. That would be fantastic.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Well, Diana Prazak and Lucia Rijker, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll talk again or bump into each other somewhere along the way, to talk to you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you both. All right. Okay. Take care, Diana. Take care, Lucia.
Bye.
And we will be coming up next. Bye. Take care of yourselves. We're going to go to a commercial in just a second, and then we're going to come back with Mr. Riddick Bowe. So just hold on.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It, that is ONNIT, on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up, here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 26, and my gosh, I'm still Christy Rosario here in Los Angeles. We will take live callers at 347-324-5998. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or my Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL, or go to the Facebook Real Combat Media in the search bar. And I am very happy to introduce our next guest. He is, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Mr. Riddick Bowe. How are you today?
Hey, I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm good. Nice to hear you. Thanks for coming on. So you are the former heavyweight undisputed champion. You have the Evander Holyfield Riddick Bowe trilogy. I mean, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, it was a big accomplishment, and I'm glad I had a guy like Evander Holyfield to dance, because if it wasn't for him, I guess I wouldn't be, Riddick Bowe.
Well, you'd still be Riddick Bowe, but everyone remembers that. I was watching them, and what a fantastic trilogy. You, dominated two of the three of them. So, and today, I heard you just had a Muay Thai competition. What are you doing?
I had a Muay Thai, but I tell you, if there's any boxers out there, do not try it. It's been 2-3 months. My legs are still hurting and things of that nature. So do not measure that Muay Thai, because they're going to kick you in the legs, and your legs hurt for months afterwards.
Yeah. How long did you train for that fight?
Well, I think I trained for that Muay Thai, I think 2 months. But it's a different type of fight. So as a professional fighter, you think you can handle everything, but you can't handle that because they kick you, they elbow you. It's totally different.
It's totally different. Well, how did it feel to get kicked the first time in the fight?
Well, I guess, for me, it brought back memories when I was a kid with my brothers and sisters might kick me behind. It's getting a house boy or what have you. But after that third king, it was a different ball game. My legs couldn't stand up because, they kick you in the knees and what have you. So it was very painful.
I know. I used to kickbox. It is very painful. But you have, is it 13 brothers and sisters? And is that true?
No, I have 12 brothers and sisters. I'm number 13.
Oh, you're lucky 13. Okay, so then you must have had some fighting growing up with the brothers and sisters that you probably were okay getting in the ring than doing Muay Thai.
Well, that's why I have to thank my brothers and sisters for giving me a head start. They used to fight me, take my candy, take my toys, so I had to learn how to fight at an early age. So I gotta thank them for giving me the willpower to fight, not being afraid of anyone. Because they used to just take my candy and treat me like a red stepchild, so I had to stop that. You know what I mean?
Yes, you don't want anyone to take your candy. I understand. That's cool.
No.
I'm an only child, so that's wonderful when you have all those brothers and sisters. Gosh.
Well,
and what about
you think that, because there's a lot of things you want you can't have. Yeah, you can go talk to them or whatever, but there's a lot of you guys You know, I think being the only child, you were able to have a lot more than what I had.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, I did grow up with a single mother, but you know what? I didn't have to compete with 12 other brothers and sisters. Are you close today with them?
No, I'm not. We don't. They don't talk to me. I don't talk to them. So, no, I don't think we as close as we should be. But I guess that is part of life.
Yeah, that's part of life sometimes, unfortunately. So for you, looking back, yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows that you also, besides being this heavyweight champion, you also got the silver medal in the 1988 Olympics. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment too. Was that amazing being able to go to the Olympics?
Can I tell you something I think going to surprise you?
What?
I'm a former two-time world heavyweight champion. I'm a former two-time world heavyweight champion.
Yes, you are. I know. You're definitely undisputed former heavyweight champion, and yes, you have many belts. But I want to know about the Olympics. Was that amazing, going to be able to represent your country in Seoul, Korea in 1988?
It was one of the greatest feelings I ever had in my life. Being the number one guy in the United States that's super heavyweight, to go fight for gold medal, it was great. I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world.
I know. You were there the year that, with the same time with Roy Jones Jr. Did you see his fight?
Absolutely. They robbed Roy and they robbed me. So, I understand how he feels, and I guess he knows how I feel.
Yeah. So you felt like in the gold medal round against Lennox Lewis, did you feel that they shouldn't have stopped the fight?
Well, I feel like the referee kept giving me cautions for no apparent reason, and for that reason, Lennox was able to, I guess, be ahead on the scorecard. I don't know if he was, but, and then the referee gave us a command to break. He hits me, and the referee jumped in and stops the fight. I couldn't understand. If anything, I thought the referee should have taken a point away from him, but he didn't.
Oh.
I don't think the Americans. I think he was more favorable to the Canadians and things of that nature.
So you think because Lennox Lewis was from the United Kingdom, you think in Korea they were kind of like biased to him?
Well, I know the referee was. I wouldn't say the Korean, but that particular referee, he was, and I haven't seen him since.
No. Well, you know what? Getting the silver medal at the Olympics is amazing, and very few people get to do that. So, I mean, that's wonderful. And what is your greatest career moment? If it wasn't in the Olympics, when was your greatest career moment?
I guess I'll have to say the night I beat Evander Holyfield for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's a great career moment. How about any others that you look back and you say, what else? What about?
I was going to say, I won a New York City Golden Glove 4 times, 4 years in a row, so that's a good thing for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Are you doing any? Are you coaching or training any kids or adults?
No, not so far, but one day I would love to do that.
Yeah,
I think that's my next career, to teach the guys the way I was taught.
Yeah, you have so much knowledge. I'm sure that, anybody would love to learn from you. And, I was talking to a friend of yours. Do you remember John Bray?
Absolutely, John Bray, yes.
You were in camp together, I think. Was it like 85, 86 for the U.S.?
We actually going to play the Wheelchair training camp with Evander Holyfield in Houston, Texas.
Right. Well, John wanted me to tell you hello. I spoke to him this morning. He has a fighter that's fighting on the undercard of Abner Modis this weekend, and he was telling me, I was telling him you're going to be on the show, and he said, make sure you tell my friend Riddick Bowe I said hello.
Okay, tell him I said hello. Yeah, that's a good guy, too.
Oh, gosh. John Bray is a great guy. We have to get him on here and talk to him. He has been through so much in boxing, just like you, But I want to ask you, is it true that you're going to box again, that you're going to go to the United Kingdom and maybe have another pro fight?
Well, the thing is this, if they show me the money, the price is right, I will be there.
Wow. So what would the money be? What would they have to pay you to get you to fight again?
Right now, for me to fight again, maybe 150,000.
Okay. Well, if anybody, promoters hear that, 150,000, do you have anybody in mind that you'd want to fight these days?
Well, I look at it like this and that, but a fight's a fight. I just need enough time to get in shape, and we can fight well. Don't make me no difference. You know what I mean?
I got you. Well, how much time would you want to get ready for the fight?
Well, it depends on who I'm fighting. Say if you got a guy like Lennox Lewis, I need 3 months. If I'm fighting a regular guy, below average, give me a month. In between that, you give me 6 weeks.
Okay, so you always stay in good shape then, huh? If you only need a month?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm fighting a guy below average, and I'm not in great shape, but my body has good memory. So if I ran for a month and did sit-ups and do all the things I'm supposed to do, I think I would be okay.
Okay. All right. Can you explain to the fans that, because, everyone wants to know, that I actually could remember this. Why did you not fight Lennox Lewis, and why did you throw your belt in the garbage?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Here's the deal. Well, see, I was the heavyweight champion of the world, and you don't tell me what you're going to do, but he did. And I guess the sanction by the time, they allowed him to get away with a lot of things he wasn't supposed to get away with. And so at the end of the day, I kind of felt like, they favored him. So no matter what I did or what I complained about, they were with him. At least at the time, that's how I felt. So I put the belt in the garbage. I felt like, people knew who the world champion was. The world champion was me, so, and they was considering me the garbage can champion because that's where they got the belt from.
Oh, you know what? You're always so charming, and everyone loved you and would love. That would have been like the greatest fight to see you and Lennox Lewis fight each other.
Yeah, I wanted to fight him, but he wanted parity. He wanted 50-50 opposed to getting the 75-25 that everybody else would take. And here's the deal. If you felt you could beat me, you would accept it. That's what I said when I fought Evander Holyfield. Why couldn't he do the same thing? And then go on, you make, more money, you make 75%. Well, that tells me that you didn't believe you could beat me if you didn't accept what the norm was. So he wanted to be crazy, act crazy, or maybe I'm thinking that's just his way of saying he did not want that particular fight.
Oh, I see. So that's why you threw your belt in the garbage, and that's why you never fought Lennox. I know a lot of people want to know that. A lot of people are really bummed out because that would have been just something to see. But you ever kind of look back and think, oh, maybe I should have just did it anyways?
Absolutely, but let me tell you something. See, as a professional fighter, we all know who we can beat and who we can't beat. And then he couldn't beat me. He knew he could not beat me. I know that he knew. He may not admit to this, but he knew in my prime I would have killed him. So that's why he never took the fight. And you call him Pecan Chan. You call him Lennox Lewis. I call him Pecan Chan.
Right. Well, you are amazing. I want to tell you, looking at your record of 43 wins, 33 KOs, you've only lost once, and then you avenged your loss to Evander Holyfield, so you really never lost. That's an amazing record.
Yeah, that loss is the questionable, because how are you going to beat the reigning champion by a 1 or 2 point margin? If you don't dominate me, how can you win? He didn't dominate me like I dominated him. I knocked him on the third fight, but the first fight I took him to school. The second fight, he did not, if I didn't win, I'm not trying to sound like a sore loser, but if I didn't win, that fight should have been a draw.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's go to a call, because then maybe let's see what they want to ask you. Hold on. Let's see who's here.
Okay.
Hi, this is Christy with Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Who's calling? Hello. All right, they're not there. Let's go to our panel host, Clarence, Theo, I'm sure you have a nice question for Mr. Riddick Bowe.
Hey, what's up, Rick? Bowe, how you feeling, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, you know, man, I just want to say you're a legend in the game to me, man. For them 3 fights with Holyfield, I mean, I still remember my uncle. Just, you know, I keep hearing your name or whatnot. But I mean,
big guy.
Oh yeah, you got it, man. I was just wondering, like, do you fit the third heavyweight division right now? You know, because you kind of came at a time where the Tyson era kind of fell off, and then you put on that trilogy with Holyfield that carried the heavyweight division. Do you think something like that is bound to happen, like nowadays?
Absolutely not. I'm gonna tell you why. I don't think the guys train like we train, and they're not willing to put in what I put in. So I think there's a difference. That's why the big guys are going to basketball and football. They're not boxing no more, unfortunately.
Theo, what happened to you? Do you have another question?
I mean, I'm kind of just in amazement, man, because you know, I was just talking about your fight with Elijah Tillery to some of my coworkers. I'm sure you remember the second fight with him.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And it's like you always end up, I ain't gonna say always, but you had quite a few situations in the ring, like, you know, with the Fan Man, with Elijah Tillery, and I think you had one more that escapes me or whatnot. So I'm just, you know, it's just ironic that I was just talking about you the other day, and now, you know, I'm talking with you. So,
you know what I mean? You're doing pretty good for yourself.
All right, let's have Jarrell. Jarrell, you have a question for Mr. Riddick Bowe?
Mr. Bowe, I do. I have 2 questions for you. My first question is this. There are people out there, one specifically would be Dan Raphael, who specifically said that you are an old man with no discernible skills. My question is, do you have discernible skills?
Absolutely. I'm a 2-time former world heavyweight champion. Of course I have those skills. Absolutely.
Okay. My second question is in line with the first question. Is there a point where a fighter should not ever take another fight? And when would that point be?
Well, let me see. I guess, you know, if you're a professional fighter, for the most part, you know, fighting is built into you. I guess when you get to 50, 55, no, you shouldn't, but before then, you should be allowed to fight and do what you want to do. We live in America, so if an old man wants to fight, why not allow him?
I can't dispute that. That is a very good answer. If you want to fight, then you go ahead and fight. And I wish you all the best in the world, Mr. Bowe.
Thank you, Lord. God bless you.
God bless you, too.
If anybody else would like to call us, they are more than welcome to call. While we have Mr. Riddick Bowe on the line, you can call 347-324-5998, 347-324-5998. So, what do you like to be called, anyways? I know in your messages you say Bowe.
Most of my people call me Bowe.
Bowe, okay. So we'll call you Bowe. It's great to have you on here.
I don't care what you call me, just don't call me late for dinner.
You know, when you said that, I was thinking the same thing. I hear you. Oh my gosh, that was the hardest part for me when I was boxing was, you know, skipping dinner. I love food too. So what's new now? What's going on with you these days besides thinking about fighting? Anything else going on, Bo?
You know, I just got back from Thailand, and then I went to England for a month. I mean, I'm just, you know, enjoying my wife and my daughter. You know, I ain't making no noise.
No, you're just staying low, huh? Keeping out of trouble. Well, that is. I said, well, that's good. You're kind of staying low, keeping out of trouble, enjoying the family.
Well, you know, I'm doing tours and things of that nature.
And what's going on with Layman Brewster? You're doing the Four Champs promotions?
Yeah, that's my buddy. So he's trying to get this thing off and run off the ground. And if I can help him, I would love to. And I think we're going to have a good time, doing this thing with him.
So do you think you're all going to live in a house together and have all these former heavyweight champions in one place?
Well, you see, I think that's the thing. People probably think everybody have big egos and what have you. So I don't think it's going to be that way. But, controversy sells. And so we're going to do the thing and let it shoot forward, amen.
I think it should be great. So it's you and Layman Brewster, Ray Mercer, James Toney, and who am I forgetting? Chris Bird, right?
Chris Bird, right.
Right, so it'll be the five of you. I would watch that, watching the five of you live in a house together. I think that should be neat.
Yeah,
well, you know what?
That'd be great.
All right, let me see if this caller's here. Let's see. Who's calling? Anyone there at Real Combat Media Boxing Radio? For some reason, whenever I go to that one line, I don't know what happens with that. So it's Four Champs Promotions. It's number 4 Champs, plural, promotions.com. So if anyone wants to find out more about it, they can go to 4champspromotions.com. Is there anything else Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? Any information? What's going on? Anything?
Ain't nothing I can tell you. Is what you guys already know. I'm still pretty.
You're still pretty? Oh, yeah, and you're still tall, right? Tall and pretty. Anything else? It's really, really great to be able to talk to you. Hopefully this will take off with Layman Brewster, the Four Champs Promotions. I'll definitely watch. That'd be a very interesting reality show.
Okay, well, that's an open brand. I think it's going to be great. So when it hits the airwaves, tune in.
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And then when the show gets off we start watching the show, I'm going to come back and I want to talk to you guys all again. So thank you very much.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you. God bless you, too. We're going to go to a commercial. All right. And we will be back with Miss Mia St. John.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Hello and welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 26, and I'm still your host, Christy Rosario, here with Clarence O'Nixon and Jarrell from Pittsburgh, and we are going to get Mia on the line. I tried her, and I didn't get her yet, so we will get her. Let's see, we're going to make a call and see if she answers. Don't usually do this but you know what? We'll see. She just got back from Mexico, so I'm sure she's a little probably jet lagged. Let's see. Mia St. John. It should be dialing, and we will talk about our topics a little later. Kavala versus Cleverly and Gil versus Barker recap. Monas versus Gonzalez. And Santa Cruz versus Terrazas preview. That should be good. I don't even hear the phone dialing. I don't know what's going on here. So we will come back to that in just a minute. Let me see if we have our guys on the line. We can start talking about our topics. So, Theo, are you there? Jarrell, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, guys. I'm sure you both saw the fights. Why don't we start talking about Kavala versus Cleverly while we get Mia on the line? Theo, let's see. What did you think about the fight?
Oh man, I thought it was good. I think Kovalev, he's one of those guys. This influx of these European guys with their punches, but they also have boxing skill. He seems to be one of them. I remember a time when Kostya Tszyu was pretty much the only one like that. They had boxing skill with punching power, but Kovalev, he has little subtle moves. He punches with both hands, and I think he's gonna be dangerous, man. And I don't know what happened with Cleverly, man. I guess he went in there, tried to bang with him, or thought that his power was overrated. And I like what I saw from Kovalev.
What did you think, though? Were you surprised by the outcome?
Yeah, I was surprised because normally when you think of a puncher, you think of somebody one-dimensional or somebody that's going to eat a lot of punches to land a big shot. You know, the guy has I think he only went the distance maybe 2 or 3 times. So I thought he was going to be limited, but I mean, I would have thought he was the boxer in there. You know, the way he used the jab, you know, the way he was stepping around, and he just happened to be the boxer and the puncher against the guy that was supposed to have been the master boxer. So I was shocked in that sense. But I was also impressed. So
you were shocked and impressed. But you know what? We're going to come back to this fight. I like that. We're going to come back, finish up. But first, we do have Mia on the line. We don't want to leave her waiting. Hello, Mia St. John. How are you?
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Are you feeling jet lagged from your trip to Mexico?
Oh, I actually drove.
Oh,
yeah.
Where did you go?
I just drove across I only live 3 hours from the border, so.
Oh, fantastic! So you just went? Was it a business trip or for fun?
Yeah. Well, I always go for business, but there's always fun involved with Mexico. So.
Yeah, I know. I saw the picture of you, hitting the bag. That was a nice picture. But you know what? You just told me that you had hip surgery. Shouldn't you be resting?
Yeah, but my doctor knows that that's just not in my vocabulary. I can't just sit still. I have to be working out. It's just something that's been a part of my life since I was a kid, so I just can't not do it. But I know what not to do. I know there's certain things that I can't do, like how far I can rotate my hips and how far I can bend my legs. And so, I know certain things that, I can't do and won't do. But there's still certain things that I can get away with doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, how long has it been? Have they told you that you needed to get this surgery?
I've known for not that long. I mean, probably a couple of years, but I injured it in a previous fight a while back, and I kept putting off the surgery, and then I re-injured it in the Christy Martin rematch. So then I knew there was no choice. I had to go through the surgery, but I waited. I did 2 more fights after the Christy fight, and then finally I just knew there was no continuing. I had to get it done. I couldn't even walk at that point. By the time I went to Denmark for my last fight in April, I couldn't even walk. I mean, it was awful. I couldn't move in the ring. Couldn't do anything. So
you're talking about the fight with Cecilia Brækhus, and that was your last fight. I mean, were you in a lot of pain then when you were in there with her?
It was horrific. I mean, I can't even tell you how bad the pain was. But the ref I remember he just looked at me in the third round and just said, no, I couldn't move. I really could not move. And so it was a good call, something that it was a good call that he made, and I'm glad he did it, and because I would have just been hurt, So I'm glad that he did that.
Yeah, watching that fight, it was like that wasn't the fight, the Mia St. John that I've seen fight before. You were on your defense. You could tell there was something the matter. Was it the money that you took this fight? I mean, why would you take a fight when you were feeling so bad?
Well, like every fighter, right? I mean, we all take fights even though we don't have the ability for one reason or another, because people forget that this is our livelihood. This is what we've been paying our mortgage with, our bills with, our children's college tuition, our houses. I mean, this is what we have been making a living off of for the past 2 decades. So people don't realize that it's our job, and everybody wants to work. I mean, nobody wants to give up their career. Whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a school teacher, nobody wants to stop working. Like, an athlete, we're no different. We want to work just like everybody else. That has a lot to do with it. I mean, I don't even ask that question of my friends like Holyfield or, Tommy Hearns or Roy Jones. I know why Roy and Holyfield are still fighting. I don't even need to ask them that. Like, I know. We know as fighters, as insiders, we know.
Yeah, of course. But, the general public, your fans, they don't know. So you want to make sure, like what you're saying, it's very valid. Your kids need to go to college. You need to pay your mortgage. This is your livelihood. And now you're in retirement. Is there any amount that, like, I know Roy came up to you at the fights and said, hey, I have a fight for you. Could a promoter give you any amount of money now that would make you come back?
Of course. I mean, every fight, of course, yeah. I mean, every fighter has a price, right? I mean, even Lennox Lewis, I just talked to him a few months back, and, I said, come on, like, I know you got a price to get you to come back. He goes, oh, yeah, I have a price, all right. So every fighter has a price. But it's got to be enough to, risk injuring myself again. And if it's not, I don't need the money. Sure, I like it. Everybody does. We want it. But if it's not going to be, substantial, then it's not worth it. The risks aren't worth it. So, but yeah, every fighter has a price. I mean, that's why you see so many fighters coming back out of retirement, and so many fighters fighting, when they shouldn't be fighting, and we know Evander should not be fighting now, and probably neither should Roy Jones, but, I mean, what fighter really retires when they should? I mean, I think that's why we see so much brain damage that we see in fighters today, because many of them should have stopped years before they actually did.
True. We just spoke to Riddick Bowe, who said for $150,000 he'll come back and fight. So, that's another example of people that, and James Toney, keeps fighting. Yeah, that's very valid.
True. And people forget, like when we were amateur, like I spent 23 years as an amateur in Taekwondo. That was the love of my life. And I not only fought for free, but I paid to fight. We had to pay for our tournaments and our travel and our expenses. And so when you decide to leave that all behind, you're making a conscious decision. I'm going to turn pro and start making a living. This is going to be my job. So if you don't want to worry about the money, then I tell people, stay amateur. If you just want to do it for the sole love of it, then do yourself a favor and don't turn pro. Because when you turn pro, you're making a choice that it's now business. And if you don't want that, then I suggest don't go pro. Pick another career and keep it as a hobby.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I mean, I remember in the beginning of your career, when I was almost finished, you and I used to spar at that little gym with Pat Goosen, and that was fun. You remember that little place?
Wasn't it Mark Parras?
Oh, is that the House of Champions? That's a bigger place. I thought we were in
House of Champions.
Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe there's a couple places. I remember a little place that we would go to, and I had Ben Lear, you had Pat Goosen, and we were in the ring, and it was fun. That's why nobody can ever say to me, "Oh, Mia, yeah, right. She's the model. She just boxed." I'm like, no way. I was in there. We hit each other for real. So I know that. I know that. I give you a lot of credit for boxing, and now we're here in 2013. But now I want to ask you about your, do you think, your modeling career, do you owe that to the boxing, or do you think you would have a modeling career without the boxing? Did it open doors for you?
I was never a model per se. I did modeling, I guess, like any athlete, right? Like we all do magazines and commercials and have endorsements. So I guess I'm just as much of a model as any other athlete, like Sergio Martinez. He does a lot of magazines and commercials, and it's no different. I wouldn't call Sergio a model. I just got paid to be in magazines and to do commercials and TV shows, and I'm no different than any other athlete.
Sergio looked so good in that ESPN body book. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. He's gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. Yeah, that was fantastic. But now how about with Playboy? How was your experience with Playboy and the reactions after you did Playboy?
I had a great experience with Playboy. I was able to pick my shots, and I had a lot of say. And I was just really proud of that because at the time I wasn't the cover. There was a blonde girl that was picked for the cover, and everyone knows this. We love blondes. We like blondes. We love them. But I remember complaining.
Mia, I'm sorry. Can you hear that? Oh, okay, it went away. I'm sorry. Go again, because I couldn't hear you for some reason. There was a whole bunch of static.
Oh, okay. I was just saying how, I wasn't chosen for the cover originally of Playboy. A blonde, blue-eyed girl was chosen, and because half loves blondes. And I remember complaining to them, saying, no, Latinos are just as beautiful, and why can't I be the cover? And you always have a blonde on the cover, and, that's not fair. And so they said, well, we got to ask Half. He has to approve it, and we don't know, and we'll let you know. And, so 2 weeks later I got the call, and they said, Half loved the pictures, and you're the cover. And so,
wow.
I thought it was huge because, I was like the first time they had a Mexican on the cover of Playboy. And it just showed to me, that, we don't have to be blonde and blue-eyed and rail thin, we're still beautiful, and of course it did a lot for my career. It really boosted my career, and again, I'm a professional athlete. I chose the business side of it after many years of being amateur, and that was the choice I made, and I don't regret it. I'm really glad that I made that choice.
Yeah, I'm very supportive. Right now people make a big deal because Marlon Esparza is in an ESPN body book. you don't hardly even see anything. I mean, and it's a beautiful display. I mean, every athlete looks gorgeous. I feel for women that we make the choice. We're in the Playboy or you're in whatever you want to do, then, you know, I mean, that's fine. I think it's great. And if it helped your career, you know, I'm happy for you, Mia. And it was a positive experience for you. And you, like you said, you were probably the first Latina they put on the cover of Playboy. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You have to learn all those blondes.
I just feel like, you know, like, in this country, I mean, I choose to live in this country. You know, my mother's from Mexico or was from Mexico, and my whole family's there. But, you know, I was born here, and this is a capitalist country, and we accept that, right, as citizens, that, you know, we choose to live here. If we want that kind of government control, we can always move to a communist country. But we want the freedom to make these choices and to capitalize off of, you know, whatever we want. You can have a rapper from the hood who decides he wants to sing gangster rap and make millions, you know, while the rest of the people say, well, that's not right. You shouldn't be promoting gangster rap. Well, but that's the freedom of our country. You know, we have the right to do these things. And
exactly.
And I don't want to say if you don't like it, you can always leave, or you can protest, you know, that you want more government control and you don't think that we should have the right to make these decisions. But I feel like that's my right to make, you know, a living however I can, as long as it's within, you know, as long as it's legal, you know, and I feel morally fine about it. You know, there are many times I have to admit that I didn't feel right going in the ring and beating up on another human being, and knowing that in boxing that's the whole goal, is to render a human being unconscious. And that did not sit right with me many times. And so that's what I have to ask myself was, did I feel okay with hurting another human being and walking into that ring with the thought, I'm okay with killing someone, and I'm okay with myself dying. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because you have to be willing. I mean, you just have to. You can't go into a fight and say, no, I'm not willing to kill another human being. Well, then get out of the ring, because you could possibly do that. Because when you're punching someone and you're punching them and punching them in the ring, no fighter stops in the middle of the round and says, oh, wait a second, are you okay? Are you okay? Because you don't look okay. I'm about to knock you out and you don't look okay. No, you keep going until the person falls to the canvas or the ref jumps in and saves the person. But you have to be willing to go that far.
Well, yeah, and on that note, then why don't I ask you, in the last fight with Christy Martin, where you dominated and you came out the victor, you won, there was a point where you just were holding her instead of finishing. What was happening at that moment in your mind? You hugged her, exactly. And why was that instead of just, you know?
Yeah, and everybody said, why didn't you just knock her out? Why did you hug her? Because I evolved as a human being over the years. Yeah, I was a very dysfunctional teenager. I was an addict, an alcoholic. I have OCD, and I grew up in poverty. I was dysfunctional. So it was a perfect sport for me. I had no problem walking in that ring and beating the crap out of another human being, because you were going to bear the burden of all my resentments and all my dysfunction and everything I had endured in life. And I had no problem if I had to take someone's life. But I had evolved as I got older, as I grew up. And I started my charity and started working with kids in the inner city and working with people in poverty and people who were sick and people who were racially discriminated against. And I developed, like, compassion. And so at the end of my career, I didn't even know I had developed this. But as I was hitting her, I looked in her eyes and I could see she was gone. She was just gone. And I had one split second to think, to make the decision, either I'm going to knock her out and just keep going because the ref wasn't going to stop it. So either I'm going to continue and just knock her out, or I'm going to stop this bullshit. And I didn't even have to think about it. I just put my hands down and I hugged her. And I just grabbed her and I just waited till the bell rang. You know, I mean, thankfully, you know, I won the fight anyway, but I just wasn't willing to destroy her, to kill someone.
Well, you did. You won the fight.
That's when you get to the point in your career where you know it's over.
Right. Well, you know, you went in the ring, and you obviously had your hip issue. I heard that she had been sick. Is this true? I mean, did you know that there was something going on with her before you actually got in the ring?
Yeah, I knew that she had suffered a stroke. And, well, nobody else knew. I knew. And I felt like just because nobody else knows, the fact that I know, and if anything happens to her, I have to live with that for the rest of my life. And can I do that? And the answer was no. I don't think I could live with that. And so I knew I was risking winning the fight because, you know, for so many years, like, you know, I mean, Christy was a favor, and I felt even in our first fight, the judges gave it to her. And so I felt like I was taking a big risk. But to me, the bigger risk was injuring her for life, you know, possibly even ending her life. And to me, that was a much bigger risk than losing a freaking fight. Like, oh, my God. Like, it wasn't even a question. Like, it's a fight. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not in there fighting for world hunger. I'm not fighting for, you know, sick kids or the elderly. Like, I'm fighting for a paycheck. Like, I didn't even question it. It was this instinct. I just grabbed her and just hugged her.
And that's where you evolved from your first fight to your 60th fight. You really evolved to that point where you were just decided this is it. And, you know, you won unanimous decision. You won 97, 93, 96, 94, and 96, 94. But I know you don't know that at the time. But it was a unanimous decision.
You're only thinking, I'm going to get robbed. Because Christy Martin's the favorite. You know, the promoter loves her, and I'm going to get robbed. But you got to throw all that out and just say, what's more important, though? Like someone's life or a W on your record? And to me, at the time, it was a no-brainer. But if you would have asked me that 17 years ago or at the start of my career, I would have said, F that. You know, I'm going to win no matter what. I don't care whether I put this person, you know, 6 feet under. I'm going to win. You know, and all I can say is that I grew up.
Yeah. Wow. And 62 fights, I mean, you came a long way. And you were mentioning briefly about your charities. And tell us more, your charities and the mental health causes that you're involved in.
Yeah, I started, some years back, I started a foundation for inner city kids called El Saber es Poder, and it means knowledge is power. Because I felt like, you know, this country had given me so much. Like, you know, my mother brought me here and wanted me to, you know, reap all the benefits that the United States offered to citizens. And, you know, I was able to get an education. I graduated from college and have a wonderful career. And the U.S. did that for me. And I felt like I had to do something to give back to the people that pay to come see me fight, you know, which a lot of them, you know, don't have much money. They're hardworking people, middle-class people. So, you know, I wanted to do something for kids that, you know, that kind of grew up like I did. And that's why I started the foundation, because I still, even though I am a capitalist, I live in the United States, I came from a father who's a socialist. So I still have, I call myself, I'm half capitalist, half socialist. So I still have that, you know, in me that the money I make is not really all mine. Like, I owe it to give back to the community, to share my wealth, because that's what's right, you know. And so I started the foundation, and I've just been giving ever since. And to me, that's been like the greatest gift of my career. It hasn't been like the belts or, you know, the titles or anything like that. It's what I've been able to give back to kids, and, you know, especially kids who are needy or who are sick, you know. That gives me like the most reward, the biggest reward.
That's wonderful. It is. It's very rewarding, and I want people to be able to give to these causes too. Do you have a website or email or anything that you can give out?
Thank you for asking. We are a 501c3, so it's tax deductible, and you can go to miastjohnfoundation.org. And we help kids, you know, who are sick or mentally ill. The only requirement is that you're underprivileged. And we help with education. You don't even have to be really a child. Like, we help kids who are over the age of 18 who are still, you know, we still consider children. You know, they're just adult children
right,
who were born in, you know, the inner city and can't get on their feet. So, yeah, and the website will tell you everything. It's miastjohnfoundation.org.
miastjohnfoundation.org. That sounds like a great cause. And how do you determine, like, how do you find the kids or the young adults that need help? How do you determine who really needs help and who doesn't?
Well, what we do is, like, we establish programs. I actually started the program in Mexico, in a barrio there that had no electricity. We brought electricity. We brought computers. We brought all brand new computers to the school that didn't even have electricity. So we had to bring them electricity to get the computers, and then we had to get them internet. So we started there, and from there I decided to put the program in the United States. But I felt like I first had to start with, you know, my origin, right? I just felt like that's just what I had to do. And so after I did that, I brought the program to the United States, and we started in a place called El Centro del Pueblo, which is in Echo Park. And what they do is, you know, obviously they screen the kids that are they're in the program, and of course they're all kids from Echo Park, and kids that have been, like, in trouble with the law, who have been through the system already, and who have family problems. And so El Centro provides, like, the therapy and the academics, and I came in and provided a boxing program, but it's really deceiving because it's not a boxing program. The boxing just kind of lures the kids in, and then from there we teach them about humility, you know, because in the inner city there's this whole mentality about revenge. You do something to me, you embarrass me, you hurt me, and I'm going to get you back. And that's how I grew up. It's all about revenge. And so what we do is we teach these kids how learn how to get hit and get back up, stand back up, and still love your opponent, have compassion for your opponent, and know that, you know, we're all human beings and we're all in this together. And so we slowly teach them that, so that when they go back out on the street, they don't want to fight, and they don't want to retaliate, and they don't have that gang mentality anymore. And that's not to say that we succeed with every single one of them. Some will go back to the streets, but some won't. And if I can even get that one kid that won't go back, I feel like I'm a huge success. And we've done that. So anyway, that's how we screen the kids. It's usually placed in a school or a center that can do that.
Wow, what a great organization. I love that. So it's Mia St. John's Foundation. Is it plural, Mia St. John's, or Mia St. John?
It's just Mia St. John, MIASTJOHN Foundation.org.
Mia St. John Foundation.org. And then all the money
if anyone knows of a center in the LA area that needs, a program, then they can just write to me.
And are you looking for volunteers too, as well as help as financial?
Always looking for volunteers. Always.
That's fantastic. So if anyone knows about a center in Los Angeles, please, this is a wonderful organization. If you'd like to volunteer, if you would like to just donate money where they can put it back into the kids, it would be fantastic. And Mia, I have some people waiting to ask you questions. So if you can just hold a second. I want to see who's here.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see who's here. Hello, and welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Who's there? All right, no one's on that one. Let's see who's here. Is this Clarence? You still there, Theo?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, you got Mia right here.
Hey, how you doing, Mia?
Good, how are you?
All right. I remember you from Knockout Kings, the video game. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Yes, of course I remember that.
Yeah, I'm kind of stoked right now because I remember. Yeah, I remember that. But I'm an advocate for encouraging kids and even adults to take up boxing to learn discipline and to do soul searching. And I was wondering, it seems that you're the same way, and I was wondering if it wasn't for boxing, do you think you would still have become the person that you are intellectually or whatnot?
That's a good question. I because of how I feel now, people ask me, well, so do you regret boxing? And I always say no, because I feel like it led me to my real path in life, which is to help others. In the beginning, I thought that was my path, was to become a world champion. And that really wasn't my path. That was just the vehicle to take me to my true destiny, which was this, to help others. That's where my true passion lies. But I didn't know that in the beginning. So I'm glad that I was able to get out, of my dysfunction and learn what I had to learn to get me to this point. Because I honestly believe if I didn't end up turning pro in boxing, I would have ended up in jail. Because I had so much anger and so much dysfunction in my life that I think it was inevitable. Like I would have ended up in jail.
Yeah, that's amazing. So can you attest to boxing being something that teaches you to harness your aggression and and become positive after all of it?
Well, like with my program, I feel like if I had the education in the beginning when I was young, because I didn't go to college until later in life, but if I had the education when I was young and the support, because I started drinking and using when I was 10 years old, and that's what happens when you grow up in poverty. And, kids turn to things like that. And so if I had a place to go and support and education, maybe I would have never even needed to turn to boxing. Maybe I could have became something else, a scientist, an engineer, whatever, a doctor. I don't know. So what I try to do with the kids today is encourage them, like, your only path does not have to be, boxing or any sport. It could be academics. Like especially for Latinos, I feel like Latinos and African Americans were kind of pushed towards the sports department instead of being pushed towards academics. Like, why can't we become scientists? Why can't we become engineers? Why can't we become doctors? Like, why not? We're capable of that too. We're not just capable of sports. We're capable of so much more. And why not encourage kids to do that? Instead of like just always throwing like gloves at them or a basketball or a football, let's throw books at them and encourage them to learn and that education is power.
Very true. Education. So let's ask if Jarrell, where is Jarrell? Are you here, Jarrell? Let's see. Do we still have Jarrell on the line? Hi, Mia. I have one more person, I think. Let me see if he's here. Jarrell, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. You have a question for Mia?
I do. Behavioral and emotional problems decrease among 31% of youth with mental health issues after 6 months of receiving mental health care. I believe your foundation is called El Saber es Poder, which is knowledge is power.
Yeah.
With our test, you've been trying to reintroduce the Mental Health in Schools Act. What would you say to the viewers and the people listening out there about trying to help make this happen? Why is this necessary?
Oh, my goodness. I that's a question that I'd have to – I couldn't take any less than hours to answer. They shut down our hospitals, our mental health hospitals back in I believe it was the 80s, and as a result of Reagan. And ever since then, we've just been on a downhill spiral. And I think we can see the result of a lack of mental health care in this country. The result is, look at all these shootings. I think we just had a shooting today, I believe. Another one. Aurora, Arizona, Newtown. All these kids are mentally ill, adult children. And I have one of my own. And I myself was diagnosed with OCD. So it's not only important for these kids and the parents of these kids, but our society. Because I think we're seeing what's happening with the lack of care. Look what's happening. It's out of control. I look at it if you live in that area, look at Skid Row. Look at the Twin Towers. Well, the majority of these people do have mental health issues, and why aren't we helping them? And isn't mental health, isn't the brain a physical part of our body? It's like the most complex organ in our body. Why don't we see that as a real illness? Why don't we see mental illness as a real physical illness?
Very true. We need to get the mental health hospitals, the bills passed. You're right. You're very right about that one. All the shootings these days, it's terrible. So hopefully by what you're doing with your charities, you're helping these kids. And, not like you said, knowledge is power, Mia.
Yeah, hopefully we'll bring, like the caller was mentioning, the bill that me and Ron Artest have been advocating. Just hopefully our voices will be large enough. Unfortunately, I just don't know what it's going to take, because we've been trying to pass this bill and it keeps getting shut down. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know how many more shootings are going to have to happen. It's a tough situation.
And what is the bill called?
A whole new show.
Yeah. Mia, what is the bill called? Hi. What is the bill called?
It's called if anyone wants to look up information, it's the Mental Health in Schools Act, and it's by Congresswoman Napolitano.
Okay, Mental Health.
Congresswoman Napolitano, Mental Health in Schools Act. And that's also on my website, but if you want to Google it and actually read the bill, you can.
Well, that's fantastic. And make sure you go to MiaSt.John.Foundation.org. They need a big space in Los Angeles for their charity. It's fantastic. Mia, it's been really interesting and really great speaking to you. You have a lot to say and a lot to give, and we appreciate that you're doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thanks, guys.
You're
Thanks
welcome,
all the callers.
Yeah,
okay.
And you know what? It was great running into you. Have a wonderful day. We'll be looking for you to see what you're going to be doing next. Thank you, Mia.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to talk about our topics. We had great guests, Mia St. John, Riddick Bowe, Diana Prazak, and Lucia Rijker. We're going to get into the topics. Make sure if you like, you can call us. You don't always have to agree. You can call us, 347-324-5998. I want to thank Bo Williford. He sent me 2 shirts, and Deidre Gogarty actually did the logo for their club shirt. It's fantastic. And Shawnee over at Elite Training Center gave me a beautiful tank top, and that's where I go and I do my Krav Maga training. I take private lessons. I may start taking the classes. They do MMA, Kali, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. It's called Elite Training Center. You can go elitetrainingcenter.net or call them at 310-543-1600, 310-543-1600 if you are in the Los Angeles area. They're in Redondo Beach, and they are now opening another facility in Hermosa Beach. It's elitetrainingcenter.net. And Krav Maga is amazing self-defense, Israeli military self-defense, plus MMA. They have fighters fighting this weekend. Tommy and Ramon are going to fight at the Nokia Center. So keep in touch with them. And if you go there and tell them I recommended, they'll give you a free week. You can try their classes for a week. I also want to tell you about another organization called Jason's Birthday Campaign. In June of 2013 marks 12 years since the mysterious and tragic disappearance of Jason Jakowski, the namesake of the organization Project Jason. It's his 32nd birthday, and they are raising money. This organization hands out 1,600 at least personal ID kits. They have posters. They help the missing. They are Project Jason has mentioned several volunteers to action and passed legislation. They've mentored the volunteers and passed legislation in 9 states that positively affect missing person cases. Project Jason has served over 1,000 families since their inception in 2003, and Project Jason hosts an annual coping skills retreat for families of the missing. If you have the resources and could help them, all their money goes back into their organization. Information at projectjason.org, www.projectjason.org, and this will help for missing persons, missing children and adults. We're going to go to a break, a commercial. We'll come right back with our panel hosting guest and our topics. Stay tuned.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 26, and I'm Christy Rosario, your host here in Los Angeles. We're joined by Clarence Nixon and Jarrell T. Brackett today. And, we've had a really good show. I'm happy to have you guys on the show with us. We were talking earlier, Theo, you and I were talking about Sergey Kovalev and Nathan Cleary. I'm in my mouth. I need to drink some water. Okay, so let's tell them what happened this past weekend. So the past weekend, Sergey Kovalev was just way too strong and TKO'd in the fourth round Nathan Cleverly. So, Jarrell, what did you think of that fight?
I'm a light heavyweight. I'm actually the current champion of the area that I reside in myself. And so whenever I see light heavyweights box, I am always all over it. I found it very interesting that Sergey Kovalev decided that he was going to trap Cleverly into a brawl. And he did this by not exhibiting all of his power up front. He used his jab. He just worked very, very lightly until he caught Cleverly. And I find that when Cleverly had stopped using his boxing acumen, he just stood right in front of someone who's 22 wins, 20 of them came by knockout, and he's never been past the fourth round. He literally just stood in front of him and tried to trade with him and tried to knock him out, and that's the worst scenario for someone who is nowhere near as powerful as Kovalev was. And then by the third round, when Kovalev had actually landed his shots and had staggered Cleverly to the point where his hands touched the ground, he knew he had to fight, but he just unlocked the rest of his potential and just stole the belt directly from Cleverly. In fact, it shouldn't have even gone to a fourth round. He had hit him at the very end of the round. The last 15 seconds, he hit him almost 10 times, 2 times to the body and 8 times to the face, and he fell into the referee's arm. It was sick. It was sick. I'd never seen anything like it.
Wow, you were counting, huh?
Oh, I do. When I see things like that, it was awesome. Like, I usually count how many shots, especially if it's in a short amount of time, because you can't necessarily see. But when I really focused in on it, like, he was incredibly accurate by the end of that fight. Like, Kovalev is really, really technical. Underneath all of the power and all of that, you can see that he works on his accuracy. You can see that he works on turning with his punches. I mean, his defense may not be 100% where it needs to be yet, but he definitely has been working to make sure that when the skill needs to be there, it's there.
Right, when the skill needs to be there, it's there. Let me take a call and see if they have something to say about the fight. Hi, you're on Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Who's there? Again, I keep getting the same number and nobody's there. It's crazy. You'd think I'd learn the first time, huh? All right. Well, yeah, it was a good fight. Unfortunately, it was a better fight for Kovalev than it was for Cleverly, and he could definitely have not stood in front of Kovalev too long because, my God, that man has a power punch, and he is strong. I wouldn't ever stand in front of him. So, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to go a little faster than normal. And I want to get to the fight that I thought was pretty exciting, was Darren Barker and Daniel Gill. And Darren Barker got the decision. It was a split decision in the 12th round. Scores were 114-113, 116-111, and 113-114. Darren Barker is the new IBF middleweight champion of the world. Sierra, what did you think of that?
I think it was a well-deserved victory. Darren Barker is a prime example of what can happen when you turn a loss into a positive, because some people, their first loss, it becomes contagious. Like they get used to losing, and then they look for the easy way out after. But he seemed to use it. It had an adverse effect on him. Like he came up short against Sergio, and he was like that close to it, and that seems to have been what pushed him to keep going, because there were moments in that fight where, you know, he kind of looked like, you know, he was questioning himself a little bit, and he just had to dig deep. And I think he's a very good middleweight. And Gil put on a great performance as well, but I think it was just Barker doing just that little bit more towards the late rounds. And I think, you know, with that victory and that style, you know, the method in which he won, I think, you know, he deserves to be mentioned. You know, with he deserves to fight with Golovkin or somebody around that, you know, around that caliber, because it wasn't just the victory. It was the fact that he fought and took that title from Gil. I mean, it was excellent. It was excellent. I was impressed.
So you think Barker went down in the 6th round, and man, I mean, it must have taken everything, because he had that body shot to stand up, because, I mean, that looked painful and courageous at the same time. So you really think that Darren Barker could withstand Gennady Golovkin's Triple G's power?
Well, I wouldn't say all that, but I would say I think he deserves the shot to see, because anytime a guy fights Sergio Martinez, like, that's pretty much gold standard when it comes to, you know, trickiness, cleverness, even punching power to some extent, you know, especially when he fought Sergio. Sergio wasn't he was still pretty much at the top of his game or whatnot, and you know, I wouldn't mind seeing it, man, because that was a clean body shot that he took, and it pretty much took a lot out of him. You could see him kicking his legs on the ground, and the fact that he rose from that and continued to fight on. I mean, I would love to see how Golovkin will react to somebody that fights, you know, that takes his punch and keeps going. Like, that would be interesting.
All right. You know what? I think we have the Boxing Prophet on the line. I'm going to get him on. Is this the Boxing Prophet?
Indeed it is. How are you guys doing this evening?
Prophet.
We're good. So what's up? What did you think of the Barker-Gil fight?
I thought Barker showed tremendous resiliency getting up from that body shot. It was amazing. I thought it was over. Very few middleweights, if any, could have withstood that vicious body shot. And to me, it wasn't so much Barker winning as it was Gale losing. Gale is known as a valiant puncher. He throws punches in bunches. And I just thought Barker completely out-hustled him. Barker kind of lured him into a street fight. The Barker that showed tremendous boxing ability, who outboxed Sergio Martinez before Martinez rallied in the late rounds to stop Barker, we didn't see that. Barker, like Clarence said a couple of minutes ago, Barker turned a negative into a positive, learned from his loss to Sergio Martinez, and kind of lured Daniel Gale into a technician sort of street fight, and he completely out-hustled him. Every 1 or 2 punches that Gale landed, Barker would land 3 or 4 in return. On my scorecard, I had Barker winning 8-4, but with the knockdown, I had Barker winning the fight by 3 points, and he deserves the championship and to move on. And in a perfect world, the opponent that I think he should face is not Triple G, because I don't think he can handle Triple G at this moment. But what about a guy like a Martin Murray, who a lot of people thought should have gotten a decision over Sergio Martinez in Argentina, knocked him down twice, but Martinez still escaped with the victory. I think Murray against Barker would be a great fight, and it'll go down as, you know, 2 middleweights who are not real well-known, but should be well-known.
Very good. Prophet, as always, he broke it down. All right, let's see who we else have on here. We have, there's Jarrell. What did you think?
What I thought was that after Barker was knocked
Jarrell,
out.
you sound like. Hold on, Jarrell. You sound like you're in a toilet. Can you take off the speaker and just talk on the phone?
We're
Thank
sorry
you.
about that. Press again.
That's much better. Oh, thank you. I thought we were all like privy to your private stuff, so thanks. Go ahead.
The Barker, when he got knocked down, it gave him the fire that he would have needed to be able to finish the fight in such a strong way. It was because Barker kept the pressure down the stretch, and because of the volume of landed punches that he had going all the way into the end of the fight, that he won the fight. And if he had not been knocked down in the 6th round, I don't think that he would have rallied and put himself into a dangerous position to land the punches that he did in the first place. And that's the weird thing about boxing. You can end up on the canvas at one point in the fight, but because of how hard you work and what you do when you get up from there, that you end up winning the fight. The shots that wobbled Gil in the last round most likely gave Barker the end result of the fight. I mean, he did win 116, 111, and 114, 113. So if he had not had that knockdown in the 6th and felt this need to overcompensate going down the stretch, I don't believe that he would have won the fight, because one judge gave it to him 116, 111, but it's very possible that the other 2 judges would have given it to Gil, because maybe 1 or 2 of the rounds he wouldn't have worked just as hard. So this happened specifically in my mind because that knockdown happened and he felt a need to really, really work twice as hard to finish. I've had the same thing happen to me. I was knocked down in the first round of a fight, and when I got up, I did everything in my power to make sure I did not lose the fight itself. And when the scorecards came back, I fought first to a draw on a 10-point must system.
So you fought in the pros?
No, they're switching the amateurs from the point system
no,
that they used to have.
I know that. I'm an AIBA referee judge, but I don't know your history. So you fought in the amateurs, and when did you fight? It must have been recently if it was a 10-point must system.
Yes, this was recently. I think this was the 18th of July. It might have been a little bit earlier than that, but that's when it happened.
And where were you fighting?
I was fighting at the Serbian Center in West Virginia.
Oh, very cool. So how many fights do you have?
Currently, the fight that I'm having on Saturday will be my 23rd amateur match.
Oh, okay. Well, very cool. Good luck with that. We didn't know. You had to give us a little bit of background, Jarrell. Is there anything else that we don't know about you?
Other than that, I carry the local titles for the light heavyweight and the cruiserweight in my area. I'm defending my light heavyweight title on Saturday, and when another opponent comes my way that's willing to fight me in the cruiserweight, I'll be fighting him next.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Very
Thank
cool.
you.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. We're going to move on to Abner Mares and Johnny Gonzalez. They are fighting this coming weekend on August 24th at the StubHub Center in Carson, California, right near me. Prophet, what do you think of that fight coming up?
I love Abner Mares to win this fight easily. Johnny Gonzalez does have power, but doesn't really have a lot of boxing ability. It all comes down to what style Abner Mares wants to bring to the table. I liked it when he knocked out Ponce de Leon in his last fight. He's on my pound-for-pound list. He should be on every boxing fan's top 10 pound-for-pound list. The guy single-handedly cleaned out the bantamweight division, and I think he'll successfully defend his title easily. I look for him to stop Johnny Gonzalez inside of 7 rounds. I think he's just too fast, too strong. Gonzalez is one-dimensional, doesn't have much of a defense. Mares will just do it all. He'll box, he'll slug. This fight won't go past the 7th round.
All right, real quick, I'll give you 15 seconds to talk about Leo Santa Cruz and Victor Terrazas on the undercard of Mares this weekend. Real quick, go ahead, Prophet.
The fight won't go past 7 rounds. Santa Cruz will win the fight. And for those fans that feel chipped that we never saw Mares fight either Rigondeaux or Donaire, hold your head up high, because in a year and a half or 2 years, you're going to see a super fight, and it's going to be Abner Morris against Leo Santa Cruz, baby. And you can see them both this Saturday night on Showtime.
Thank you. All right, Prophet. Good to have you back. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, CO. I'll see you next week. Right now, we are going to leave. Oh, my God, it's the end of the show. Come back, not next week, the week after, the 27th, and we'll be back with Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. See you then.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.